All right, how we doing today? What I'm going to do for you here is I'm going to go over the 4 questions that are on our exit slip from yesterday's lesson. That way, if you got something wrong or whatever, you want to, see what you did incorrectly. Okay, I'm able to do that. All right. So the first question asks us to factor and solve. All right. Well, the first questions we have to ask ourselves when we factor: is there a greatest common factor? All right. Well, lucky for us in this problem, there is not, or maybe unlucky for us. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so now I don't know. Since we all heart math, we want to factor and solve this one. I need to find two numbers that are going to multiply to give me 16, and those same two numbers must add to negative 6. The 16 is supposed to be negative, so there should be a negative here. All right, sorry about that. So if I want two numbers that will multiply negative 16 and add to negative 6, well, I'm just going to write these down over here. I know I have 1 times 16, 2 and 8, and 4 times 4 is my factors of 16. Well, I know it's not this one, and I know it's not that, so it's got to be 2 and 8. But the question is, which one should be negative? Well, if I want to add to negative 6, if I want to have my result be a negative number, then the 8 needs to be negative. Okay? That means my factors are x plus 2 and x minus 8, and that's equal to 0. But when we're solving, since this equals 0, I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. And some of you may well do this in your head, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to write it out and solve. Well, here, if I subtract 2, x equals negative 2. And if I add 8, x should be 8. That was number 1. Wow, that was so much fun. Okay. Number 2. Wow, number 2. Number 2, we need to factor and solve in number 2 as well. All right. So I'm going to multiply my... Oh, sorry. I just got ahead of myself there. First question I got to ask myself when factoring: is there a greatest common factor? Fortunately and or unfortunately for us, there is not a greatest common factor between 3, 25, and 8. So I'm going to go on and do what I just did. That means we have to split the middle term, which means I'm multiplying the first number times the last to get positive 24. Now when I think the factors of positive 24, it'll add to 25. Oh, do I need to keep going? I don't think so. It looks like I found my two factors. Okay. Now, remember, there are two methods to do this. I could do the algebraic method or the factor or the box method. Okay, I'm going to do both for you. So here I'm going to do the algebraic method first, and then I'll do the box method. So 3x squared comes down. The minus 25x becomes negative 1x minus 24x, and then the positive 8 comes down as well as that equals 0. When I have 4 terms, I group it 2 by 2 like this. I see, all right, what's the GCF between 3x squared and negative 1x? Well, that's an x. What's left over inside? 3x minus 1. Greatest common factor between negative 24 and positive 8 is negative 8. Now, I chose negative 8 because my first number here was negative. Also, I chose negative 8 because I want a positive 3x here and a negative 1 there. And if I took out a positive 8, it would be switched. This would be a negative 3, and that would be a positive 1. Okay? And that's still equal to 0. Well, we see what repeats, 3x minus 1. So that's one of my factors. And when I take out the 3x minus 1 from both terms, all that's left over is x minus 8. And again, that's still equal to 0. So here, x equals 8. Here, I'll show the work for this one. It's a little bit tougher. 3x minus 1 equals 0. Whoa. Plus 1. 3x equals 1. Divide by 3. X equals 1/3. All right. Now I'm going to go back and do the box method. Okay. So if you're not a box method person, okay, then you can just skip this part of the video. All right. So from these 4 terms, box method people, all right, I'm going to make my box. where I had 3x squared minus 1x minus 24x and plus 8. I want to think about the greatest common factor across the top. Greatest common factor across the top, or excuse me, across my first row is x. Greatest common factor in my second row is negative 8. Again, I take out a negative 8 because this first term here is negative. Keep going. Wow, having so much fun. Stop, relax. Don't have too much fun. Greatest common factor between 3 and 24 is 3, and then I can take out 1. GCF here, negative 1 since my first term is negative. And then from there, I get x minus 8 and 3x minus 1. And that's equal to 0. And the process is the same as right here. Set each factor equal to 0. X minus 8 equals 0. So x is 8 because I add 8 to both sides. All right. And then 3x minus 1 equals 0 plus 1 divided by 3. X is 1/3. Fun stuff. Here we go. Today we're all right, not today, but now we're going to factor in number 3. Just factor, no solve. All right. So we're going to cut out the last part where we set each term equal to 0. Okay. What I want to do first, all right, I want to think about this. Since this is a subtraction, I can think about this as 16x squared plus 0x minus 25. And I can think about it in the box way, all right. I know that, well, this is 16x squared and this is negative 25. I know that I'm going to have 5 and 5 and 4x and 4x. And the only way to get a negative 25 here is I make one of those negative. All right, that would give me a negative 20x and a positive 20x. And if I combine these two here, I'll get 0. Okay. So my factors are 4x minus 5, 4x plus 5. Remember, this is a difference of two perfect squares. All right. 16 is a perfect square because 4 times 4 is 16. 25 is a perfect square because 5 times 5 is 25. All right. Here we go. Factor again. Greatest common factor here? No. Unfortunately not. All right. So we got to do some math. Okay. We want to think about some math. Okay. So we want to think about doing math. Whoops. About that. All right. So if I think about this in the box method here, I know that I have 25x squared and a 4. All right. I see that 25 is a perfect square and 4 is a perfect square. Okay. Well, if 25 is a perfect square, I get 5x and 5x, and I have 2 and 2. If I multiply here, I get 10. Whoops. Let's make this. Yeah, no, let's go 10x and 10x, but I want these two, I want their sum to be equal to negative 20. Okay. Well, to do that, I need to make these 2's negative there. And that'll give me a positive 4 still. And that'll give me a negative 20x. So I have 5x minus 2 times 5x minus 2, which is 5x minus 2 squared. Yep. All right. Boom. All right, that's the video going over the exit slip. Hopefully that helped alleviate some questions that you may or may not have had from yesterday's, exit slip. Obviously, I just said exit slip twice. iHeartMath. So if you want to talk about these questions, all right, feel free to drop by Google Hangout or Google Meet, any of our office hours that we are having. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy today's lesson. Adios.